Hey guys, welcome back to Heaven's Secret 2, and we're finally ready to see War, the first of Plague's siblings, to show up, and I'm interested to see how that dynamic changes with the introduction of her other siblings, because I suspect that she might potentially be the weakest of the four, and that's why she was trying so hard to drum up a lot of power from Despair here and kind of get a foothold get a hold of Malbont. So, she would have the power over him. Yeah, so, very interested to see. I'm also scared because they might just be just as bad or worse. So, don't know what's going to happen there. Immortals can see someone's memories through their eyes. Careless intrusions can deliberately or accidentally ruin fragments of a memory, like scratching a film. Ooh. I used to feel like I was running headlong towards something bigger, something right. But I don't seem to be running to something, but away from it. The God? Plague rested her chin on her clasped hands and laughed. Still, it's wonderful that you came to me, little bird. I'm glad we became friends, especially now that my brother has arrived. This is what I'm talking about. War, I know you're there. Come in already. I turned around in horror. Okay, here we go. Yes? War stepped so close to Plague that she had to tilt her head back. He looked indifferently into her eyes, then at Malbont. He didn't seem to notice me. Well, hello, sister. Okay. So, does, just, fighting give him power, or causing, friction? We've been waiting for this for so long. War grinned, took a few steps back, and took another thoughtful, appraisingly looked at Malbont. Huh? Thoughtful, appraisingly. I don't think that works, but it's okay. Did you make yourself comfortable here, little sister? Plague sat down at the table and lifted her chin contentedly. I've got everything under control, War, so you can relax. I don't think so. Dropping his mask, the seemingly calm and cold-blooded horseman no longer looked that way. His face suddenly expressed a myriad of emotions. His voice sounded concerned. Is that so? You have focused too much on the personal suffering of the immortals and mortals. We need to act more decisively. Why is it so peaceful here? Did no one even try to fight you? That's your prerogative, brother. Plague spoke calmly, but her patience was clearly nearing its end. War began to walk around the office, talking as if alone with Plague. I couldn't take my eyes off of him, compelled by my curiosity and fear. You acted recklessly, allowing the old government to remain in the Citadel. He clenched his hand into a fist. We will overthrow them, crush them, and fill this world with wars and fire. Okay. Plague only rolled her eyes. Do what you must, War. That's why you're here. War chuckled. He looked like a child anticipating a visit to an amusement park. Let there be war. Okay. A little on the nose, but sure. I feel like he might be stronger physically, have more power. However, if there was a fight between them, I don't see him winning somehow. I feel like she would outplay him. First impression, so we'll see. The following evening, Plague flew with her brother to the Citadel to take control. I watched as they went right past my window. What is this lamp coming out of this table? Plague looked bored and unhappy. She clearly wanted to get the fighting over with as soon as possible. War's eyes burned with joy and enthusiasm. His muscles seemed to swell, preparing for battle. Battle with whom and where? I'm like the whole world, I guess? Who's fighting? He looked incredibly strong physically. At the same time, an unshakable power emanated from within him. I tried to think about the immortals, about my comrades in arms who remain within the walls of the citadel. They abandoned me. I think about myself. They can't be helped anymore. I feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for them. I'll potentially help them. But you kind of need to focus on getting yourself, I wouldn't say they abandoned you, though. Oh. What should be done now that there are 2 horsemen? No one could deal with plague, and what will happen now that war has joined her? Honestly, they clearly don't get along very well, so the more of them there are, you can probably more easily play on their friction with each other. I mean, ultimately, I think they'll try to stick together, but there might be some maneuvering you can do there if you play your cards right, but we don't know. I noticed that recently I'd begun unconsciously blocking my own memories. I no longer thought about my father, about the pain I experienced. I didn't think about anything that could shake my determination to survive. Nothing that would throw me off balance. I promised myself that I would grieve, feel my pain, and bury my face in a pillow in hysterics, but only when everything was over. So can we assume that she still hasn't grieved and properly dealt with her feelings even into Heaven's Secret 3? Because when her thing is gonna be over, that's not appropriate. No wonder she is the way she is. What if death was the only thing waiting for me at the end? I was no longer afraid to die because I had already gone through that. And I couldn't care less that dying again would be more painful. Living was far more terrifying. There was a knock at the door, but no one entered. I went to open it, but when I touched the handle, a voice came from the other side. We're all gathered in the common room, hoping to relax a little while plague is gone. Oh, are we going? Join us if you want. I froze, continuing to hold the handle. I don't know what's going on with you and why you're avoiding me. I won't ask questions, just come. See the completely different ways that her and Mimi handle things like this? I heard receding footsteps. Oh, Mimi. I'm sorry. I returned to the window, not intending to go anywhere, but with every minute of loneliness, my anxiety intensified. This is going to drive me crazy. I should just go and unwind. I began to get ready. Yeah, I wasn't impressed by it. Whatever outfit that was. So I'm just going to go back. When I arrived, the party was already in full swing. The students were lounging on sofas, talking loudly and laughing as if nothing had happened. There were half-empty glasses of Glyph on the table, a favorite alcoholic drink of the immortals. Nothing changed upon my arrival, but a few people looked my way and fell silent. Dino was standing with Lilu. They were talking about something but stopped once they noticed me. Dino smiled and greeted me with a nod. Lucifer was sitting with his arms spread across the back of the couch. Aussie was next to him. She curled her lip in annoyance, meeting my gaze. Don't get it? I'm over it, so bye. Listen, I already apologized about my mom. I'm done. That had nothing else to do with me. So any other bullcrap, I thought the shit was over. So I'm over it. Mimi, 80, and Sammy were talking to Christopher. Interesting. I approached him, trying not to look at Mimi. Buddy, you might as well not have come if you're gonna do all this here. Ridiculous. Now you're just acting stupid. Aria, you came. 80 put his arm around my shoulders and whispered contentedly. Of course you did. We should all get drunk while we can. Dino's voice came from behind me. Plague and war are Plague and war destroying the Citadel, and all you see is an excuse to drink. Lady gave him an offended look. Don't try to act like a saint, Angel. Aren't you the one helping the horsewoman? Lulu caught up with Dino and, angered by 80's words, asked, aren't you on her side too? No. Sammy squeezed 80's hand and nervously said, don't say that, especially not in front of everyone. You're not fighting Plague, which means you're on her side. And how does one even fight against her? It looked like 80 had drunk a lot already. His cheeks were flushed either from anger or alcohol. If it weren't for Sammy, he probably would have lashed out. Oh, buddy. 80, that kind of talk will get you on your knees before Plague. Watch your tongue. Or what? Will you tell all this to your mistress? Why are you getting angry? I wasn't talking about you. You were talking about my friend. It's the same thing. Okay. Let's settle down. We all came here to unwind, right? Arya's right. Amy caught my eyes for a moment, but quickly turned away. I wasn't trying to start a fight. I'm sorry if I offended you. Yeah, it seemed like he kind of came up and kind of made a joke, and then 80 got really upset by it. Maybe touched a little too close to home, though. Dino extended his hand to 80. 80 hesitated, but still shook it. It's okay, I overreacted. You really did, I think. Sammy raised his glass over his head and said loudly, we've got enough enemies. Let's all at least be friends with each other. Sammy's toast was supported by loud cheers. A cheery atmosphere reigned in the hall again. 80 was talking about something enthusiastically, and Dino laughed as if they hadn't been quarreling only a few minutes ago. They acted relaxed and happy, just as they had 10 years ago. The noticeably tipsy Astaroth bumped into a vase, which shattered into several large fragments with a brief ringing. Oops. Staggering, he approached us and familiarly put his hand on my shoulder. What are you doing here? Are you celebrating my heroic deed? Praising my strength, huh? Ha-ha. What deed? Astaroth, shut up. Or what? Do you know how annoying it is when you can't brag? He took a lock of my hair and painfully pulled it to his nose, loudly sniffing it. Back off. Tried to break free, but he only squeezed my shoulder harder. Why are you squirming? Get your hands off of her. Tell him. Astaroth. He didn't seem to hear. He brought his face... What is going on with Christopher? It seems like Mimi was supposed to be tamed by him, but it's the other way around. It's like she speaks and he's like, oh, okay, sure. Whoa. He's like, okay, interesting. I don't know what's going on there, but okay. He didn't seem to hear. He brought his face closer, barely touched the tip of my nose, and whispered, his breath reeking of alcohol. Ugh. I understand. You think you're so precious. You used to be a hotshot after all. What? No, I just don't want you in my space. It's weird. Get away from her. She's not your toy. Okay. Astar turned around, pulling me along with him. Lucifer got up from the couch. He stared at Astaroth with an angry, vicious look that didn't bode well. And if I don't want to? She's my toy, remember? Toys should be shared. That's literally not what Plague said. She said you could share. But otherwise, unless she said that you were going to share, that they were off limits to other people. That's literally what she said. No, she's mine. He reached us in a few long strides, grabbed Astaroth by the collar, and shoved him away from me. Why aren't you surprised? The drunken mortal fell right into his brother's arms. Touch her again, and I'll kill you. Lucifer stood up for you. I wanted to leave. I wanted to run away and hide from everyone. Unnoticed by the others, I headed for the exit. But Astaroth shouted at me. We'll get a chance to catch up, Beauty. You'll see who you should bow to. What the is wrong with you? I was overcome with anger, burning hatred, and disgust for the world that had turned its back on me. The injustice needs to be put to an end. I turned around and shouted, Astaroth! You change your mind? He turned to me with a smug grin, spreading his arms as if preparing for an embrace. He's delusional, but he could hardly stand on his own feet. I headed straight towards him. He was already reaching for me, but I kicked him between the legs with all my strength. Deserved. Astaroth clutched his groin and slowly sank to the floor. A strained groan slipped from his throat. Eddie squealed with delight and Sammy burst out laughing. Mimi only smiled approvingly. I hope you understand that you shouldn't do this anymore. Somehow I don't know if you got the message. Yes. Great. Maybe. I felt the eyes of Dina, Lucifer, and others on me, and it gave me confidence and determination. All was not yet lost. I could still take care of myself. One of the drunken immortals came up with the idea of playing the god. Is this something we played before? It sounds familiar now that I think about it. Some supported the idea while others were actively against it. Lucifer was once again sprawled on the sofa in his favorite position and lazily said, Let's play. Maybe it'll brighten up the evening. I tried to leave again, but Lucifer's voice, so loud that it was impossible not to hear, made me stop. Arya, you're playing too. Tired, don't wanna. I didn't ask if you wanted to or not. Sit down. Several dozen eyes were looking at me. Austin, move over. It's just sad. She can sit at your feet. Austin, that's not you. She looked at him for a few moments and then abruptly stood up and stepped aside. Sit down. Lucifer impatiently patted the spot next to him. I had to obey. According to the rules of a god, the players had to look into each other's eyes and search for a memory of an important event. And what succeeded, the other would owe them a wish. How do you know what's important or not? A.D. finished his glyph and sat down on the arm of the sofa, playfully twisting his glass in his hands. Let's split into pairs. Who will be with whom? He looked at Astaroth shrewdly. I'm with you. He wants to get into his mind and try to see their secrets. Well done, Haney. I don't know about secrets. I think he just... he just wants to beat him. Fine. Astaroth, you're drunk. I'll play with you, 80. Everyone who decided to participate in the game just faced each other. I looked in front of me at Mimi, then at Sammy and 80. Lucifer turned to me, but I tried to ignore him. Then he poured glyph into 2 glasses and handed one to me. I looked at him. Relax, it's just a game. Maybe I don't want you in my head. I'll go first. I won't resist. You can see whatever you want. Why would he do that? Does he want to win my trust? I took the glass from his hands and had a couple of sips. A fiery haze filled my head and my muscles stiffened from tension before quickly succumbing to nearly instant intoxication. Fine. Lucifer and I turned to each other. I noticed a quick glance directed behind me. Turning around, I saw Aussie watching us with intense indignation. Arya, look at me. I returned my gaze to Lucifer. His red eyes looked into mine so intently that for a moment I was afraid he was trying to get into my head. Go ahead. I drank the glyph in one gulp, choked and coughed. Maybe you shouldn't get drunk. Don't be afraid, I won't bite. Sit still. Lucifer looked at me without averting his gaze. It was distracting and nerve-wracking, but I tried to push aside any unnecessary thoughts and peered into his mind. He opened all the locks, all the doors for me, and I was free to wander the dark corners of his mind. I saw everything. It improved both your friendship and romantic relationship. Interesting. I'm glad they told us, though. So I assume it will improve your friendship, but if you have more points with someone else, it'll put you into their route instead, right? So I think as long as it says friendship and romance and not just clearly a romance choice, it should be okay for the most part. Because I'm saying that because I'm on This Is Malbot's save file right now. Okay, so we go. Even when I was little, my father cultivated hatred in me for the unclaimed, for all weak immortals, and for those who were lower in rank. In the end, the only good thing left in me was my love for my mother, Lilith. I often went to her chambers when my father was gone. We lay on the bed as she stroked my hair and told me about wonderful animals that lived on a mysterious island, about the clans of immortals, about everything as far removed from hell and father as possible. One time, I snuck into her room and tiptoed to the bed, but it turned out to be empty. Mom? I walked around the bed, carefully looked behind the screen, and saw her bent over a handful of ashes. She was crying as some of the ashes ran through her fingers. I killed him, son. I didn't mean to. Who did you kill, Mom? She lowered her hand and stared blankly at the wall. I don't know. The servant. Why? Mom looked at me. He couldn't tell me where my husband was. She started crying again. I sat down next to her, holding her head against my chest. It's okay, Mommy. It's okay. Mom was a good-natured demon, but after my birth, she was consumed by depression, as ordinary mortals call it. She tried to commit suicide. Sometimes she had outbursts of anger which ended in the murder of another servant, and then she would sob, regretting it. Everything will be fine, Mom. In the end, Father hid Mom away from everyone, and even I didn't know where she was and could no longer see her. Tell me, Father, where is she? Please, I want to see her. Lilith was a bad influence on you. You become a disgrace. Dad, please. I knelt before him. Please. How dare you humiliate yourself like this? He got up from the throne, and his voice, definitely loud, made me cower in fear. Get out, you brat. When my father was killed, the servants told me as his heir where my mother was. She was standing and looking out the window when I entered. I was overcome with emotion, seeing her just the same as I remembered her. I felt joy. I felt anger and hatred for my father. I felt suffocating longing and regret. Mom? She slowly turned to me and a faint smile appeared on her lips. Mom recognized me, but it seemed like we had seen each other only 5 minutes ago. She wasn't even surprised to see me. How are you? Mom. I ran up to her, squeezed her icy hand, and looked into her eyes. But her gaze was empty, lifeless. Do you remember me? What did he do to you? You're so loud. A little nervously, but not without tenderness, she threw off my hands and wandered to the bed. She gently lay on her side and closed her eyes. Mom? I want to sleep, Lucifer. Go to your father. I would visit her from time to time, but I soon stopped. After our meeting, something inside me seemed to change, and I felt a powerless, dull rage. She was no longer my mother. I didn't want to lose my memories of her wonderful voice and thoughtful, kind eyes. It hurt me too much to see her like that. I became Satan and took my father's place. I didn't talk to anyone about my mother. It was as if she had never existed. I was reminded that I was acting just like my father in some ways. I kept her hidden in the shadows, in the far corner of hell, away from everyone, as if she were some kind of leper. I felt like a monster. When the plague came, she quickly learned about Lilith's situation and realized it would be good leverage against me. She stole my mother and came to me accompanied by my father. What wonderful creatures you are. This she-devil is full of burning despair. You have done your best. What do you want? For you to be obedient? Let her go. I was ready to turn into a monster, destroy the entire building, and throw myself at her even at the cost of my own life. But Father intervened. Don't be stupid. Do what she says. Let my mother go. I won't touch her, boy, if you do what I say. Father knelt and lowered his head, but his shoulders shook with self-loathing. We will do whatever you command. I followed his example. I locked eyes with my mother, and I seemed to catch a glimpse of awareness. I'll save you, Mom. This time, I'll help you. Okay, so this is him telling her why he's been acting like this. As if it wasn't obvious that he was trying to do something. But anyway, now it's all laid out. All makes a lot of sense. Interesting. Okay. But I wonder what happened with his mom. Like, because it sounded like she was going through, what, postpartum depression, right? And like something was going on with her, and I don't know, maybe, and he was wondering like why his dad hated him so much, and I wonder if it had anything to do with like he thought that Lucifer was responsible, or he didn't want Lucifer to turn out like that, or I don't know. Either way, it doesn't excuse him for being so violent, but okay. I don't know. Wow, that's a lot to unpack. I'm glad we got to see that. Vision disappeared and I saw Lucifer again. Only did I realize how close our faces were. He whispered, "Did you see?" I pulled away and looked thoughtfully at my hands. Now I see why he did all this. You never told me about your mother. Never. Not a word in 10 years. I was ashamed. I didn't want to think about it. Why did you show me this? Why now? Lucifer moved closer and whispered in your ear. You know the answer to that question. Not really. Like, the situation hasn't really changed. So I'm not really sure. Oh! Is he in the Order of Resistance too? Okay. What if he's not? I better not mention it directly. I turned to face him and our lips almost touched. I want to hear it from you. Lucifer smirked. My cheeks began to burn from his proximity and I turned away again. If you don't see me as an enemy, who knows? Maybe we'll be able to help each other? Are you asking me to trust you? We started talking in whispers and made our conversation feel incredibly intimate. Yes, that's what I'm asking. He moved even closer, his lips touched my neck lightly, and his breath burned my skin. What are you? Pause. Hot pause. Just a moment. Okay. I'll be right back. Okay. Here we go. I closed my eyes and barely tilted my head, exposing my neck. Lucifer froze in 10-step. For a split second, I was frightened. I didn't know why, but a moment later, I heard a velvet whisper. I don't want to hurt you. So you keep saying. He slowly kissed my neck. His lips closed and parted again. I moaned softly, opened my eyes, and looked around the hall with blurred vision. No one seemed to notice us. Really? Did Asti suddenly decide to turn away? Did she leave? Lucifer pulled away, and I immediately looked at him. Was that all? It suddenly felt cold and empty when I was breath on my skin. Lucifer caught my lips again with a quick, sensual touch. Just a few seconds, that's how long it lasted. Hasty, hungry, desperate. So that no one would notice, so that no one would find out. At the same time, it was full of danger and recklessness. Lucifer pulled away, a look of surprise on his face. I touched my lips in confusion. They were wet from his kiss. He looked at my fingers. Shefa? Why do you say Shefa? Over at this kiss, Lucifer looked around and as I had done before, and suddenly extended his hand, put it on my knee and squeezed it. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Bitter devastation squeezed my chest, but Lucifer added in a whisper, "Not here, not in front of everyone." He got up, finished his glyph, and said, "See you later." And then he approached Asti, who's still there and probably still been staring. From the look on her face, I could tell she saw everything. Of course she did! Maybe so that no one would see. But there was no hatred in her eyes. Asti looked helpless and lost in thought. I suddenly realized that she wasn't into Lucifer and wouldn't compete with me. What connected them then? They headed for the exit. I continued to sit on the couch, not daring to move. My body felt frozen like a wax statue. Lucifer had scorched me and disappeared, and now I had to slowly, painfully cool down, remembering his burning touch. It took about 10 minutes before I could move. I covered my face with my hands and quietly murmured into my palms. Oh, Shefa, help me. What am I doing? Shefa cannot help you, and he would not. I looked around for Sammy, Adi, and Mimi. I couldn't find the guys, but Mimi was talking about something with Christopher. She looked relaxed and even pleased. I decided not to disturb her and quietly disappeared into the hallway. Okay. I slowly walked along, feeling the rough texture of the wall with my hand. Disturbing thoughts swarmed in my head. Plague is blackmailing Satan and Lucifer. She's managed to bring even the most rebellious into line. That explains why they sided with Plague and follow her instructions so obediently. Why did it never occur to you that she could have something on him? It took her so long to catch up. This should not have been that necessary. Like, it's something that needs to happen, but it shouldn't have need to be necessary for her not to have doubt him the entire time. It seems very strange, especially given that a long relationship. But what about the others? Is she blackmailing Dino and Pincio too? Most likely, buddy. I stopped near Plague's office. The horsewoman wasn't back yet. It was my chance. Your chance for what? Oh no. I cautiously opened the door. Oh my goodness. Please be careful. The room didn't look messy as it had last time. The scattered books had disappeared and there were no scribbled notes on the table. And yet, I got the impression that this appearance of order was meant to obscure what I was looking for. I went to the desk, checked every drawer, and found only a single piece of paper. It was written in clumsy handwriting. What's the benefit? Friend or foe? What could that mean? A portrait of the three horsemen was hanging on the wall. Their features were barely distinguishable. A dart was stuck in each of them, but Plague had disfigured only the last one. Interesting. It seemed like she used the tip of a blade to scratch the entire image. They don't seem to have the warmest relationship. That's what I was saying earlier. Oh, okay. Time choice, most likely. The consent isn't required. Okay. What can we do? I don't know. Just find them. That won't be a problem. What do we do? I rushed around the office in a panic. Okay. We don't know this office. We don't know any way out of the office. Are they right outside the door? Where can we hide in the office if we had to hide? In that closet? That's not big enough for a body, buddy. And it would be weird if it was suddenly closed when it was open the whole time. Oh no. I could feel Malbon's approach on my skin and Plague's power, which grew with every step they took, pressing down on me like gravity. Would they see me if I dipped? Oh my gosh. I need to leave. Opened the door and looked out into the hallway. Okay, they're not at the door. The footsteps echoed from around the corner, and it was clear they were about to catch up with me. Okay, the footsteps are around the corner. Okay. Return to the office. No, don't stay there. Don't go towards the sound. Run! Run! Obviously! I closed the door behind me and ran as fast as I could. Please tell me you did not slam it. When Malbon and Plague turned down the hallway, I had already slipped around the corner. I leaned against the wall trying to catch my breath. Ooh. I did it. The music's still playing. Wait a minute. I carefully peeked around the corner and my gaze crossed Malbon's. Just slowly fade back. He felt my energy. Yeah, he probably knew you were there the whole time. Plague was talking incessantly, and even if she felt my energy, she didn't seem to react or give it any importance. But if Malbon noticed me, he'd say something. Not necessarily. Hey, are you listening to me? He shifted his gaze back to Plague. Yes. The horsewoman entered the office. Following her, Malbon tightly closed the door. He didn't tell her. I began to tremble and sank to the floor to calm my nerves. That was close. All that, we didn't get anything. What was the point of taking that risk? Oh my stars. The room was dark, but I noticed him as soon as I entered. Malbon? I was startled and clung to the door. What are you doing here? Oh, Lucifer sat on the edge of the bed and held some kind of jewelry in his hands. The moonlight outlined his haggard silhouette and illuminated half of his pensive face. She gave this to me before Father took her away. She knew it would be a long time before she saw me again. Lucifer got up and walked over to me, still not looking up from the jewelry in his hands. She has the exact same one. She said that we'll bind our souls, that she'll always be there. Finally, he looked up at me, put the pen in his pocket, and quietly asked, "Do you think she lied?" Lucifer, why are you here? He raised his hands if he wanted to touch me, but instead clenched his fingers into a fist and turned away. He went to the window and began to examine the view. I took a few steps towards him. Are you on Plague's side or are you just pretending? Be careful I don't have any listening devices in here. Let's keep that quiet. Ask what you really want to know. What do you think I want to know? He turned to me. Am I on your side or against you? And? Just because I'm against everyone doesn't mean I'm against you. I think I've told you that before, or did you forget? Lucifer. He impulsively rushed to me and pulling me close by the waist whispered, "That kiss. Don't say it was a mistake. I don't want to be against you, Arya." Choking on rising tears, I angrily struck his chest. My voice was trembling and hoarse. You pushed me away. You said so many things. Why are you doing this? I could feel him shaking too. I don't know. I'm sorry, Arya. I don't know what I'm doing. We can't. Lucifer pressed his forehead against mine. We tilted our heads. Our lips came a little closer. Then we froze, not allowing our emotions to overtake our minds. Lucifer was breathing heavily, his warm breath rolling over my face. What am I doing? We can't. 153? Bye. Is that the most expensive romance scene we've ever had? I can't remember. Somehow I feel like it's not. He closed his eyes as if he was in pain. He shook his head, still pressing his forehead against mine. No, Arya. I tilted my head. Now our noses were touching and our lips were even closer. Lucifer didn't open his eyes. He whispered, "Tell me to get out." Push me away. Please. I can't. I shouldn't have come here. But you came. His fingers gripped the fabric of my back. I'm sorry. Lucifer wrapped his arms around my neck and pulled me towards him. Our lips finally met. We kissed desperately, quickly, greedily. There wasn't even time to take a breath. For the first time in so many months, I felt the warmth of another body. For the first time, someone caressed, stroked, and kissed me instead of hitting me, tormenting me, and then kicking me out. It felt like a dream. So recently, I had been so unbearably lonely, but at that moment, his hands were stroking my back and hips, pulling me closer to him. His scalding lips covered my neck and chest. I couldn't stop either of us. I couldn't say anything intelligible, knowing tears would well up and I'd beg him not to leave. Lucifer lifted the hem of my dress and knelt. What are you? He looked at me for a moment before slowly touching my inner thigh. One kiss followed another. Painfully slow, each kiss lingered longer and longer on my skin before being burned away by the touch of his tongue. Then he got up and looked into my eyes again. You can still stop me. Just say the word. What should I say? Oh boy. As soon as he heard that, Lucifer picked me up in his arms, wrapped my legs around his hips, and carried me to the bed. It felt like a mad, desperate attempt to escape from all of our problems. Lucifer was unusually gentle with me. His tenderness frightened me while also ruthlessly drawing me to him. His wing opened as if to shield me from the rest of the world while warming with their scarlet feathers. He pulled away and, without breaking eye contact, slowly took off his uniform. I also wanted to undress, but he grabbed my hands. Allow me. His fingers were cold, but their touch felt like another caress to me, like ice after hot wax. Lucifer slowly pulled down the straps of my dress. The fabric caught on my on my nipples before slowly sliding further. It tickled my hips and brushed my heels as it fell to the floor. Lucifer kept his eyes on my breast, squeezed my hips, and pulled me sharply to him. His lips covered mine again. Without stopping to kiss, he whispered, "Later, I'll pretend this didn't happen, Arya." I heard the sadness in his voice. I felt he didn't want that, and I knew he wouldn't forget. He'd lie, as he did all the time. Still, I couldn't hold back my tears. I whispered into his lips, "I know." Plague took our future from us, but she couldn't take that night away. I treasured it in my mind forever. My body will remember the taste of his lips, no matter how much Plague wished to deprive me of that. Lucifer spread my legs wider and rested his hands on the bed, looming over me. I reached out to him and he immediately kissed me. His broad palm covered my chest. I kept looking into his eyes. Every time he entered me, I arched towards him. I responded to every touch, to every movement. I wrapped my legs around his waist, pressing as close as possible. He caressed my shoulders and my breasts, drawing a short line of kisses across my skin. Biting and squeezing, he left pleasant pain in his wake, moving on quickly and not allowing me to rest. He turned me over onto my stomach. I felt the heaviness of him, my body captive in his hands. I don't want to forget. I don't want you to forget. A groan came from deep in Lucifer's throat as he slid his hand between the bed and me, touching between my legs. To the sound of my soft moans, he said, "Neither do I." I buried my face in the pillows and, moaning louder and louder, pushed towards him. Is this some sort of CG of the room? It was as close as we could be. That might be a glitch. I'll check later. I wanted it to never end, but I could feel the pleasure building no matter how much I tried to postpone the climax. Lucifer increased the pressure. I whispered something incoherent, hoping that he'd slow down just to prolong the sweet bliss for another moment, but he didn't let that happen. He finished what he started. I cried out, but it was muffled by the pillows. My body trembled every time Lucifer's lips touched my skin. Then he lay on his back and put his hands under his head, staring at the ceiling. I rolled over on my side and watched him. Don't insult me anymore. I'm sorry. He looked at me. His gaze lingered on my neck. You have hickeys. He threw back the blanket that was tangled around me and with one easy movement removed the shackles. Too bad I can't remove them myself. Lucifer put his finger on the mark he'd left on me. After a few seconds, he moved his hand. Not anymore. He cast a melancholy glance at my neck as if our night had disappeared along with the hickey. And he put the shackles back on. Lucifer seemed to be avoiding eye contact with me. I have to go. Would you like to stay until morning? I can't. Plague will see this night in my mind regardless. What do we have to lose? Lucifer looked at me strangely. You actually thought Plague would find out about it and you still let it happen? Of course, she'll know. Lucifer kissed me passionately as if he was thanking me for something, then pulled away and said before hurrying out of my bedroom, She won't. Don't be afraid. He put on his pants and, grabbing the rest of his clothes, left the room. So we have ways of blocking that now? Who has these ways and what are they? Why won't anybody tell me? Well, I guess I can't use them anyway with my shackles. I remained sitting in bed, clutching the blanket to my bare chest. Is that something that he learned from the Order? Since Plague won't find out, why would you forget? Well, the next day, Plague summoned Lucifer and me so that she could boast about her victory. Okay, listen. I'm very pleased to unveil more of Lucifer's backstory. He's always a very interesting character. I'm not particularly enthused that they had a whole sex scene before even lightly touching on the conversation of what happened with her father. Because that still happened just 3 episodes ago. And it's a big deal. I know it's supposed to be like some sort of quick, passionate moment, I guess, and it just kind of gave into the vibes. Like, that's pretty much what I thought was going to happen. All I'll say is I'm not terribly enthused about the execution of that. I hope that eventually they have that conversation, but like she said, I guess she's trying to shove it down, but still, I still feel like this conversation should have had before doing all that. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. The next day, Plague summoned Lucifer and me so she could boast about her victories. I wonder why she needed his toy for that. Ward was sitting on the couch, arms stretched across its back, wearing a satisfied grin. Who he been killing? He silently sipped Glyph and listened to his sister's words. We've destroyed the Citadel. We wiped out everyone in power. Malbon stood at the window thinking about something. He didn't seem to care about the most recent events. I felt like a tiny, insignificant insect next to the 2 horsemen. The energy filled the whole space. I wonder if Lucifer and Malbon also feel uncomfortable around them. Do they have enough strength to not choke on someone else's energy? Congratulations, mistress. It was quite entertaining, even though war is not my thing. However, there's been enough desperation. War stirred, drawing Plague's attention. Looking over her shoulder at her brother, she added, and hate, of course. Oh, so his is hate. Okay, so and we have what are the horsemen? Plague, war, hunger. Is one death? I can't remember. I'll be honest, I forget. They'll show up when they show up, okay? We'll find out then. So his is hate. So he feeds on people's hatred too. I wonder how he's gonna try to drive that up. So like hatred, anger, maybe? Alright. I'll show you. She touched our foreheads. The room instantly disappeared, and instead, the structure of the citadel was erected brick by brick in the space of a few seconds. Let's see what they got up to. The Citadel, Heaven's capital. A blazing fire devoured the spires and the roof, and mortals fled from the doors which had been thrown wide. Some immediately soared up, while others, with scorched wings, tried to vanish from sight on foot. The countless corpses were laid out in a row in front of the entrance. Plague stood on one of their chests, then walked atop the others as if their bodies were her own personal red carpet. She laughed at the looks of the surviving Citadel workers. Oh! Yo, she looks cool! What's the matter? Are you feeling helpless? Are you hoping Aragon will save you? I want to see your faces when he becomes just another stepping stone for me. Plague looked up at the sky, where a war was fighting the former chief counselor. Aragon, though weakened by torture and starvation, was holding up too well. And even though he didn't have the dark power that lurked in the gloomy half-breed helping War's sister, the angel was strong. Gloomy half-breed helping War's sister. Ward threw back his head and, satisfied, breathed in the frosty air. He'd even taken on his second form to make the battle with Aragon more enjoyable. That's terrifying. You're good. I was afraid it'd be boring. Aragon flapped his wings unevenly. Looked like he was running out of strength. You're obviously flattering me. You fight me at half strength, horseman. All because I'm in a different shell, my friend. I haven't taken this form in a long time. Take this gesture as a compliment. War slowly drew his sword from its scabbard, gripped the hilt, and waved the blade in the air as if trying it out. I don't understand why you're still called immortals. My brother took this gift from you. Which one? Death? Is that it? You can kill yourselves, and you can kill others. Your strength diminishes every century until the moment it is finally exhausted. Is this immortality? You haven't been what you think you are for ages. If you're one of the strongest here, then who should I fight after your death? War rushed towards Aragon. Is that what he was looking at, Malbon? The angel dodged, darted behind the horseman just as quickly, and hurled a ball of pure energy at him. You talk too much for someone who likes to fight. War laughed. You're right. The sword in his hand seemed to take on a life of its own. It would fly off into the distance and, like a boomerang, return to its owner. And it could change its trajectory, chasing its target or retreating. Meanwhile, War was battering Aragon, preventing him from using the trick that had allowed him to dodge so quickly again. The horseman enjoyed fist fighting, but his blows were inhumanly strong, capable of crushing bones with a fleeting touch. Aragon wasn't at his best and could no longer resist War. At some point, he stopped defending himself and, putting his hand forward, began to cough up blood. Is that all? You can take more. The more I resist, the stronger you become. Are you giving up? I'll never give up, horseman. Aragon spread his arms out to his sides, then folded his wings and let gravity pull him down. Hey! War didn't want to let Aragon fall in anything so easily, so he rushed after the angel. He grabbed him by the chest. We're not done yet. I won't fight anymore. Aragon's face was calm, almost graceful. There was no rage, no hatred. There was nothing in it that the horseman needed, and so War let him go. War watched Aragon plummet, hoping that he spread his wings and tried to escape. But the angel didn't so much as twitch, rapidly approaching the ground. After some time, War looked away and grinned. If you didn't give up, you won't die from the fall, Aragon. We'll meet again. He returned to Plague. Plague stood on the bridge and leading to the city watched the capital burn. She had already brought despair to that place, but in terms of war, her brother was a master. He knew how to push agony to its limits and how to bring out the worst. The mortals were killing each other in their attempts to escape, blinded by their hatred for the horsemen. They didn't understand what they were doing. They'd exhausted all their strength, yet it hadn't even allowed them to reach the horsemen, who stood at the distance and watched everything from the side. This isn't my favorite part. Why? You're the one who did this to them. I'd rather be involved than just watch others fight. We have more important things to do. We're going to the Metis bar. Melbon is already waiting for us. When the horsemen arrived, many patrons had already left the bar or were crowding at the exit. Only the daredevils and drunkards remained inside, unfazed by the general panic. How'd you find this place? The immortals kept it well hidden from us. This bar has been around for a long time. I've heard about it. Did you see it in my head? Seeing the horsemen and Melbon, everyone parted, revealing Mammon, who was sitting at a table. He was drinking Glyph, but the mug froze halfway to his lips when he saw the visitors. So, we meet again. Plague, swaying her hips, walked to his table. With a creak, she pulled his chair back and, turning it towards her, straddled it. Mammon set his mug aside and nodded to the bartender to pour one for the guests. Why did you hide from me for so long? I wanted to enjoy the second chance I was given. And you didn't even come to thank me. I decided that a self-assured creature like yourself had no need for praise. Mammon glanced at War and Malbon, who approached the table. The horseman instantly appreciated the demon's strength. He seemed interested, but after fighting Aragon, not as much as he'd normally be. I have your daughter. I know. I need you to go down to Earth to seduce people with riches and drive them into a frenzy. You can bring the entire human world to its knees and drive them mad. It's within your power. Why won't you do it? I did exactly as much as Harmony required. Harmony? And where is it now? Don't you want to regain your former strength? The bartender brought a few more mugs, his shaking hand spilling almost half of the Glyph. Along with the drinks, he brought a knife from Mammon. The demon put it on the table, but kept his open palm on it. Do you really think this toothpick will save you? We can't be killed by that. Oh no. You can't be killed by that, but he can? Oh, poor Mimi. I don't like this. I don't like where this is going. Mammon drank the contents of his mug and sat on the table with a thud. I thought about what to do for a long time. There's no point in fighting you in battle. I'll lose. But going over to your side? I don't want to play such games. He gripped the hilt of the knife. Plague leaned back in her chair and smiled. Come on. Try to stick it in my heart. Who knows? Maybe I'll die. You still haven't caught on. Do you have a heart? Good point. Of course, a mere knife cannot kill the horseman. But it's not for you. Oh. Mammon turned the blade swiftly, and before Plague of War realized his intent, dragged it into his heart and fell forward on the table. The mugs intended for the horseman toppled, Glyph ran across the table and drifted onto the floor. The bartender dropped a tray of drinks. Someone screamed. What kind of cowardice is this? Why not die fighting me? They're exhausting me, sister. Good! Screw you! Melbon silently sent a stream of black energy into Mammon. He collapsed like a rag doll. There was a hole in his chest. Just in case. That's right, pup. We don't want him to wake up in a couple of hours, do we? Plague moved aside and squinted at the demon's corpse. It's so weird. What exactly? I didn't anticipate his actions. I tried to look into his head, and I did see his intention to kill himself. I only saw thoughts about Mimi. To hell with all this. It's a shame, Mammon. I really wanted to have fun with you. They got up and left the Metis bar. The vision that plague showed dissipated, and the office reappeared before my eyes. I staggered. I couldn't get enough air. It can't be. I wouldn't leave Mimi. He would if it was better for her. Because if, you know, she's there and they have him too, they'll just threaten her or do something to him, do something to her anytime they want him to do something. But, you know, without that being an option, you know, they have no particular reason to hurt her intentionally like that. So, there's always more than one way, my dear. Arya, you're so pale. What's the matter? Didn't you tell us where to look for Mammon? If it weren't for you, who knows? Maybe he'd still be in hiding. No, don't pin this on me. Sorry, that's not gonna work. Not gonna work. You're not even gonna make me feel a lick of guilty. Sorry. No. Listen, I was told to tell by his wife to tell him where he was. They decided this as a couple, okay? To save their daughter. That's not on me. And besides, you drove them to this. I'm not gonna forget that. A voice came from behind me. Of course she called her here. Say it's not true. Now that might drive me to despair. That I'm the one who told them about it. And she hears about it and she hates me. Driving her to despair because she lost both her father and her friend. And hatred as well because she would hate me over it. So both of them win. So they can't win with me, but they can win with her. That's bullcrap. That's bullcrap. My abdomen twisted with pain and guilt. I turned around. Mimi. Say it's not true. There's no time for you to be explaining, and your sorries are not going to do anything right now. All you can say is that definitely don't say it was necessary. Are you crazy? All you can say is that it's true. Mimi blinked in confusion, and the tears that had gathered on her eyelashes flowed down her cheeks. Why? Why, Arya? Mimi lashed out at me, but Lucifer stepped between us and took the blow. She hit him and screamed, taking her anger out on him until her strength left her and she went limp in his arms. He does that a lot, you know? Lets people take their anger out on him. I'll take her to her room. Of course. That was a lovely show, Mimi. Ew! That's the worst face I've ever seen you make. Please stop. As the door closed behind them, I let out a quiet sob, barely holding myself together. Although in a way, this kind of makes her responsible for yet another friend's father's death. I am dealing with her father's death on top of all this. A lot of fathers dying out here. This is not cool. This sucks. As the door closed behind them, I let out a quiet sob, barely holding myself together. That's what you wanted, isn't it right? Hey! Did you forget what you're trying to do here? Shut it down. Keep it in. Just like you're doing about your crap with your father that you didn't talk to Lucifer about. This is not the time. Not the place. Has she already forgotten? Like, I know this is who she is, but still. It's like, I thought we had a plan here. What is this scrap? This isn't a plan. I understand it's unpleasant to suffer for your sins, but, you know, there are advantages. Since you helped us, I decided to entrust you with something. Since you and Malbon ruled together and the people have some trust in you, you must pledge your support of the horsemen before all the immortals and urge them to submit. Do you agree? Malbon moved away from the window. He looked at me and calmly replied, We'll do it. Arya? Fine. Thank you. Reel it in. You have a job. Okay? You've already gone this far. Mimi already hates you. You gotta go. Like, I get it. It's rough. It absolutely terribly sucks. But hopefully, this is an end goal, is to get it where she can't hurt the people that you care about anymore. But how many people are you going to have to hurt along the way, though? It's, gosh. That's wonderful. You don't look well. You don't want to be seen like this, do you? Go rest. You depart tomorrow. Plague looked pleased and seemed to be blossoming. The more we suffered, the better she felt. I slowly wandered to the door. War looked at me, seemingly for the first time. He had pretended that I didn't exist before, but apparently his sister's attention made him notice me. Hey, you. Yes, master. How could you rule if you have no power? I couldn't help laughing and just continued on. Leave her. I still need her. Need me for what? I'm confused. She took Malbon's power out of me? So, like, what is it that I have that she needs? Like, why has she been trying so hard? That is really confusing. The door closed, silencing their voices. I only wanted two things, to sleep and to die. Now I'm trying to remember what that note said again earlier in the episode. It was like, what's the benefit? I'll see it again in a minute when I play Malbon's playthrough. I only wanted two things, to sleep and to die. Understandable. Malbon was waiting at the gates of the academy. He looked me up and down and, raising one eyebrow, asked, Are you going like that? I looked down at my outfit. Yesterday I fell asleep without bothering to undress, and I'd woken up when I had to leave. I was exhausted, spent, and the last thing I wanted to think about was appearances. We're in a hurry, aren't we? Malbon once again threw a glance at me, and without saying a word, flew into the sky. I swallowed hard. We were going to spend half a day together, and I didn't know what he had in mind. Did he wish to kill me, or would he continue looking at me with some icy look that gave me goosebumps? The sooner we start, the sooner it'll be over. I spread my wings and tried to catch up with Malbon. I could breathe more freely in the boundless sky. It was illusory freedom. The clouds beckoned me to rush away and hide among them. Several times, I was overcome by compulsive urges to fly as far away as possible while I had the chance. I met Malbon's inquisitive gaze. Don't even think about it. Did you read my mind? I can't anymore. Why? What does that mean? We're almost there. Let's go down. And again, without waiting for me, he disappeared from sight. Malbon was so confident that he wasn't afraid to leave me unattended. That wasn't surprising. With his skills and my powerlessness, the outcome of any escape attempts was a foregone conclusion. I landed in the central square. To my dismay, many immortals had gathered. They waited in anticipation of our speech. Wait, where are we? Looks like they've been warned. Nobody shouted, nobody tried to throw tomatoes at us, and nobody asked questions. Dozens of dim, desperate eyes were fixed on us. They'd come to be certain that there was no hope left after all. Hope died with Shefa. Hope didn't exist when Shefa was still here. It'd be foolish to think otherwise, but there's still hope. But despair isn't an option. Let's go with that. Coping with despair and expressing it. Malbon fearlessly stepped forward and spoke first. You know us. You once trusted us with your lives. Rulers change, and that's normal. You must now bow your heads to the horsemen. Don't be foolish if you don't want to feel the force of their wrath and mine. He turned to me. Your turn. I straightened my back, took a deep breath, as I always had before speeches during my time governing, and stepped towards the audience. These are difficult times. You're scared and exhausted, and you don't know what will happen tomorrow. However, I urge you to be reasonable. Be careful. Immortals have faced greater hardships. Our rulers have changed, so show wisdom and accept this truth. My throat was dry, and my tongue resisted the vile lies, but I had to add, like I have. My voice didn't betray the weakness and guilt that I felt. I seemed calm and collected, like someone who knew what they were talking about. But it was all a lie, from beginning to end. I had to muster all my willpower not to turn away from those pleading eyes. Emotions won't help anything right now. A deathly silence followed me down the stairs. Oh, short and sweet, it's over. Well, short and not necessarily sweet at all. The residents of the Capitol parted, not even trying to argue with us. Until one of them shouted, "We'll never put up with this." Then one of Plague's puppets pounced on the dissident and began biting at his flesh like a zombie. I turned towards the screams of the immortal, but Malbont turned me back and pushed me from behind so that I wouldn't stop. We walked without slowing down. Where are we going? If you're talking about an ultimate goal, there isn't one. We left so quickly. If we had stayed longer, a riot would have broken out. They only looked weak-willed. I barely feel any energy in these shackles. I thought for a while and tentatively added, I didn't think you'd be afraid of a riot. You could destroy them all in one fell swoop. Yeah, but he doesn't want to. That's right. Malbon abruptly grabbed my hand and pulled me along into an alley. He pinned me to a wall. Hey! Look at me. Malbon's jet black eyes were trying to trap me. He wants to get into my head. I closed my eyes, but Malbon squeezed my shoulders tighter and repeated in a commanding tone, devoid of any emotion. Look at me. I had to obey. I braced myself for him to burst into my consciousness as he did when Plague was around, the way the horsewoman did. He'd trample over every memory he came across, but there was no pain. I felt Malbon sorting through images from the past, but carefully, like a forensic scientist at a crime scene so as not to damage the evidence. I looked into his eyes, afraid that so much as blinking might anger him. Finally, he let me go. Alright, this is new. And why didn't you tell me I had the wrong background on for the whole episode? It doesn't matter. It's fine. My gaze unconsciously drifted to his lips. So sensual and strong. Did those lips kiss the one they loved? Did they know true tenderness? Could Malbon be gentle at all? Without any ulterior motive, just to bring someone pleasure and convey love through his touch. I didn't think about it when we ruled side by side for so many years, so why am I thinking about it now? Am I that lonely? Malbon abruptly recoiled from me. You heard my thoughts? Shava, that's so embarrassing. Malbon didn't comment on them and only said, they did a great job on you. What are you talking about? I want to check something to make sure. Can you fill me in on the details? Not my job. Is this because Plague couldn't find information about the Order of the Resistance? Was someone able to hide my memories? What are you thinking about? Can't you read me? Some of your thoughts are closed to me now. I opened my mouth to ask something, but I felt like I was pinned to the wall again. He didn't touch me, and there was still enough distance between us to slip away. But I didn't stand a chance against his almost magnetic power. And yet I heard your thoughts about my lips. It's not like that. Are you ashamed of your feelings? They're a sign of weakness, are you? Do you despise me for it? No. He touched my chin, but more like an observer than a lover. He looked at my facial features and his eyes lingered on my lips. What are you doing? I want to test a theory. He moved closer and slightly opened his mouth. I trembled from the smell of his skin and his proximity. Every cell in my body responded to his seething power and its strength. The void I felt inside me longed to be filled with the energy he had taken from me. What should I do? An agonizing desire to let him kiss me won over the voice of reason. I closed my eyes and tilted my head slightly towards him. Malbon immediately took advantage of that and pressed his lips to mine roughly and unceremoniously. I leaned against the wall. Okay, well, at least this time I got the CG. The other one from Lucifer, I think it was like a moving one or something like that. I saw it afterwards, but yeah, I think it got glitched out or something. It was weird. The cold, wet stones made me shiver. Malbon grabbed my waist and put his hand between my back and the wall. The warmth emanating from his palm enveloped my entire being. It got hot. I couldn't hold back a soft moan and immediately blushed, cursing my own lack of willpower and wounded pride. But Malbon's lips refused to let me go. He took my hands and put them on his shoulders. I held the back of his neck and pressed close against him. I felt nauseous from all the questions, from the intimacy, and from the fact that I held that monster in my arms. And then he slowly raised his head. First he looked at my lips, flushed from our kiss, then our eyes met. All the magic dissipated, leaving the ugly reality. It shouldn't have happened. What have I done? Melvin took a few steps back. He was no longer touching me, and I felt small and insignificant under his attentive gaze. Why did you kiss me? Melvin tilted his head in one direction, then the other, without taking his eyes off me. Why won't you say anything? He answered as if he was stating a fact that had nothing to do with him. Play can see our kiss if she wants to. Of course she can. She sees everything. Malbon chuckled. Not everything. She can't read my mind about the order, but anything other than that she can see. But how is that possible? My flow of thoughts was interrupted when I saw Malbon looking at my lips. You've realized some things, and now you feel safer. Before I had time to react, he turned around and said, "We have to go." I leaned against the wall, wrestling with my emotions. He kissed me to see which of my memories were readable and which weren't. And like an idiot, I let him do it. Malbon is capable of human feelings. He only does what suits him. Everything is calculated. He's too cruel to succumb to emotion. Malbon stopped abruptly. Did he just read my mind? No, he couldn't have. He wasn't even looking at me. I don't think that's what it takes to read your mind, honey. I felt your energy. But how do you... I've been watching you. Yeah, I know. Like, I'm telling you, she can't take a step without him showing up somewhere. It's crazy. I don't need to read your mind to guess what you're thinking. He went on. Let's go. I followed him, filled with the clear realization that I'd sold my soul to the devil. Okay. Well, that was a lot to unpack. A lot happened there, and maybe a few glitches along the way. I'll look into it, see if I missed anything. But okay. I don't know what's going on with this whole thing, but I feel like we're slowly getting to the point where we're unraveling. Now that we're part of this whole order thing, our kind of comrades kind of seem like they might be trying to reach out in subtle ways. Some not so subtle at all. So I guess it's kind of like the turning point of at least season 1 here. And so hopefully we'll build up a little bit of momentum here, but there's still going to be a lot of suffering along the way. I'm pretty certain. So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and show a like button, some love, subscribe to see more content like this, and I will see you next time. Bye!